Things are moving quickly during the 89th legislature, and once again, the state of Texas is looking to strengthen our law enforcement and keep our community safe. With so many bills being filed, we've invited our state legislators to come by and give a little more attention to their important legislation. Today, we'll be highlighting one of those bills, House Bill 2566, filed by Representative David Spiller. This is the layout. I'm Celine Rodriguez, Campaign Director for TPPF's Secure and Sovereign Texas campaign. Today, I'm joined by Representative David Spiller. Sir, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So you filed this Criminal Alien Track and Report Act, which is what I think is one of the most important pieces of legislation for this session. So let's get into that. What is the purpose of the Criminal Alien Track and Report Act?
Okay, well, first of all, under federal law, local law enforcement has the ability and the authority to determine someone's immigration status if they're stopped, detained, arrested, prosecuted, or convicted. And so, and also under under state law, under the Code of Criminal Procedure, Texas law enforcement agencies have that right. The problem is that many of our urban and suburban counties and law enforcement agencies are not doing that. And so we're not able to track those people that they may already be in the federal system. They may be a threat to our state and our country, and yet because they choose not to have them participate in that process, that information, which is vitally important, may not be ascertained at all, or if so, would only be after someone is convicted and incarcerated. So it's important from a public safety standpoint to be able to know who we have stopped, who we've charged, who we've prosecuted.
So there's a few concerns with legislation like this. A lot of people think that it automatically leads to racial profiling. How does your bill not do that?
Okay, well, first of all, it has absolutely nothing to do with race. It has to do with determining someone's immigration status and if they're here in our country illegally. And so it is not a show me your papers. You don't just detain people that you think or might be here illegally. They would have to be stopped or detained or arrested for a separate criminal offense. And in the course and scope of that determination, to find out who they are. And currently, under Texas law, ironically, if you're a U.S. citizen, you are required to disclose who you are to law enforcement, and it's a criminal offense if you don't. So here, we think it should be fair to require folks that are here illegally to begin with to do the same thing.
So can you briefly walk us through that process? If I get pulled over and I'm unable to provide documentations like a driver's license, what happens?
Well, first of all, you don't have to carry papers or documentation on you. You just need to be able to articulate, and if you need an interpreter, that's fine, to tell law enforcement who you are, what your date of birth is, if you have a driver's license number, if you have a passport, if you have any identifying information, and all it is just to require them to provide that. So this, it's a very simple process, and so it should be a very simple process.
And you also have a component in this bill about reporting for jail requirements. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, by the same token, if someone is jailed or incarcerated, as they determine that information, if anyone that's a U.S. citizen is arrested or detained or incarcerated, you would acquire that same information. So here we're requiring that same information. The problem is that just even, for example, on the federal level, there have been reports that over the last year or two, 2/3 of all the federal arrests are against people that are here in our country illegally. 1/2 of all the federal prosecutions are against people that are here illegally. We think that that criminal element is being underreported because some areas choose not to ascertain that. So it's very important to Texas from a public safety standpoint.
Now, speaking of public safety, how exactly does this bill enhance public safety for Texans?
I think it's important for us to identify and know the people that are in our criminal justice system that pose a serious and dangerous threat to us as Texans. That's a fair question. That's a fair determination to make. And so certainly whatever they're charged with, The state would have to prove each and every element of the offense beyond a reasonable doubt. But we need to know if those folks they could be tied to gangs. They could be tied to the cartels. They could have ties with any number of things, other criminal elements, organized criminal activity, those type things. But we don't know that if we don't ascertain what their status is.
And I think that's important given now that cartels are classified as foreign terror organizations. This would help the state more quickly identify actors such as that.
Absolutely, and I thank President Trump for passing that executive order to declare them as foreign terrorist organizations. And this is certainly another tool in the toolbox for us to be able to address those problems.
Well, I couldn't agree more, sir. Thank you so much for filing this legislation, and I look forward to seeing you work on it this session.
Thank you for having me.